That was good. I didn't even say anything. Good evening. My name is John Richard. I'm the Executive Director of the UNB REDS, and on behalf of our entire department, I want to welcome you here for a special announcement. Before I begin, I want to respectfully acknowledge that UNB stands on unsurrendered and unceded Wolastoqey territory. The lands of Wabanaki people are recognized in a series of peace and friendship treaties that have established an ongoing relationship of peace, friendship, and mutual respect between equal nations. Your phone on silent there, David?
It is now.
Okay, perfect. I just heard, I heard the quack. Yeah, I heard the quack. Brought me back. So thanks for everyone for being here tonight as we share some very important news about one of our most loyal, dedicated, passionate, energetic members of our UNB family. For almost a quarter century, Gardiner MacDougall has been the coach of the UNB REDS men's hockey program. He's led UNB hockey to unprecedented success, winning 9 national championships, including the 2 most recent ones, a dozen Atlantic Conference championships, and an amazing 16 consecutive Atlantic Conference regular season titles. He and his program have been so consistent. We, and when I say we, I mean everyone in this room, our Fredericton community, the university, our REDS group. Internally, I'm guilty myself. We have normalized this incredible standard. We expect to finish first in the conference every season. We expect to be at nationals every year. And when we're playing at nationals, we expect to be playing on Sunday once we get there. And I can assure you, even though many of us have normalized it, it isn't normal. It takes a tremendous sacrifice and thousands of hours of work. And the fact that we have come to expect it speaks to how excellent Gardiner has become at it, how engaged and committed his coaching staff are, people like Rob Henniger and Brad Good and others, how passionate his entire team staff and medical staff is. If you know what behind the house looks like, it's a small army back there, and it's really impressive. And then certainly our student athletes who are certainly, past and present student athletes who are foundational to everything we do. So, yeah. Good. So incredibly grateful for all that each of you do, but also want to show gratitude for those behind each of you, those supporting each of you at home, to allow you to chase this standard you are chasing for our program. So thanks to all of you. On to why we're here tonight and why it was so important to invite you all here. Coach MacDougall has decided he's going to retire from the University of New Brunswick. I didn't really know whether that was a clap or not, but Andy and I talked about that. Yeah, awkward pause. Coach MacDougall has decided to retire from the University of New Brunswick, and we wanted you to join us here tonight so we could show some much-deserved gratitude to Gardiner and to everyone who supported Gardiner, but most importantly, to give Gardiner a chance to speak to this community and this passionate fan base. So I'm so glad you're all here. I also want to say before I turn this over that we intend to formally this fall celebrate Gardiner in a different way. Once all of our student athletes are back in Fredericton, once our hockey fans are back in the Aitken Center, once our season's up and going. So please keep an eye out for that news because we'll do this in a bigger, better way. Not that this isn't great. I'd now like to introduce our MC for this evening, someone who you worked closely with Coach MacDougall until his own retirement about 8 years ago, someone who was instrumental in launching our UNB Fellows Hockey Society. Please welcome Dave Morrell.
Thank you, John. Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, I'll give this a whirl. John commented on my phone quacking. That's for a text message. And when I worked here, and John was the AD, and every time he called a meeting, a staff meeting, I would leave my phone on, and before I came up to the meeting, I'd call about 7 people and ask them to send me a text. So it would quack in the middle of the meeting. But anyway, that's another thing aside. This is a mixed night of emotions. And I would like to introduce the President and Vice Chancellor of the University of New Brunswick, Dr. Paul Mazerall, to share a few comments this evening. Dr. Mazerall.
Thanks, Dave. It is with mixed emotions that we all gather. I walked in and I said, it's the second coming of Christ, but no, it's the possible departure of Gardiner. So what a crowd. Thank you for being here. Good evening, everybody. It is an honor to be here tonight to celebrate Gardiner and to thank him for 24 incredible seasons here at UNB. And I know, as John mentioned, we'll have a chance in the fall to do it even bigger celebration, which he deserves. I must admit, I have reflected with my predecessor, Dr. Eddie Campbell, about how I'd like to avoid being the UNB president when Gardiner decides to leave his post. And I thought that was prevented about 3 weeks ago before he went to Europe, when we had a chance to re-sign him and talk about the next 4 years. But things can change quickly, and they did change quickly last week. But that's what's happened, and quite frankly, it has been an honor and a privilege to be a small part of the tradition Gardiner has built at UNB. And I've only been here 5 years, and we had some interruptions with COVID along the way, but wow, the last couple of years has been extraordinary. His record speaks for itself. The winningest coach in youth sports regular season history, 490 regular season or conference wins, extraordinary. Three-time Father George Keyhole Award winner as Youth Sports Coach of the Year, amazing. 17 U Cup appearances, 12 in the U Cup finals, 9 national championships, never be ever surpassed again. If we were to list everything Gardiner has accomplished at UNB, I'm sure we'd be here all night. And yet everyone who has met or worked with him knows that what he's achieved here stretches far beyond the record books. He's had a profound impact on the young people he has coached and mentored, both on and off the ice. More than 120 of his student athletes were named academic All-Canadians, meaning that they've maintained an academic average of 80% or higher while competing in varsity level sport. As much as Gardiner has worked on building winning teams, he's also worked on building up young men with skills and the dedication to succeed in life after UNB and after hockey. So he's had a profound impact on our whole community. Gardiner, you've inspired all of us to believe that we can achieve great things right here at UNB. Every day for 24 years, you've shown us that anything is possible when hard work meets passion and big dreams. We want to thank you for believing in UNB, Gardiner. Thank you for making this your home for so many years. 24 years is a long period of time. And you've been here for that duration. It's been extraordinary. So to say that your optimism and your energy will be missed is a vast understatement. And while I'm sure I'm not alone in saying that I would gladly keep you at UNB forever, or at least for the term of your natural life, it's hard to argue that you would be a more perfect time to retire from UNB than after the historic season you've had. Extraordinary season, and again, we'll never see a season like it again. You'll always be part of the UNB family, Gardiner. Your name is written in the history books for all of time, forever remembered as the men's hockey coach who really put UNB on not just a national map, but an international map. So on behalf of everyone at UNB, here in Fredericton and across New Brunswick, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I first met Gardiner in 2001. He'd been here for 1 year when I started. And I remember my first immediate impression was, wow, this guy's got a whole lot of energy and a whole lot of enthusiasm. And that was just the first meeting. My favorite story with Gardiner is one year we were hosting the Nationals and we were eliminated prematurely. And at that time, when media was media, there were a lot of sport media people here. And the people in the West seemed to, especially around Alberta, seemed to relish when they could beat down on UNB. And the media guys were in the post-game conference, and Gardiner was there, and one of the smart alecks from out west said, well, Coach, what are you going to do tomorrow? And Gardiner didn't miss a beat. He said, I'm going recruiting. And guess who won next year? Okay? And that's what Gardiner is. There is no yesterday. It's all tomorrow. Do it today and think about tomorrow, and that's been his legacy. It tells you everything you need to know about Gardiner. I've introduced Gardiner on a ton of occasions, whether it's here in the rink, whether it's at the year-end celebration of excellence for the student athletes, at charity functions, at dinners, when he was inducted into the Fredericton Wall of Fame, and so many of those elementary school days. Gardiner would go into an elementary school and whip the kids into an absolute frenzy, and then he'd walk out and leave those hordes of kids with the poor teachers and let them figure it out. And then he'd smile and get in his car and go to the next school and whip them up. Some things you may not know about Gardiner: he cannot tie his own tie. I've tied his tie a number of times in a Windsor knot. He shines his shoes before every game. He chews gum at the rate of 3,661 chews per game, and I know that because my granddaughter counted. He's gone to visit his mother in Bedeck, PEI, on a bicycle in the rain. His office is a disaster. Yeah, he's smiling. But he knows where everything is. And when it comes to coaching, there's no mystery about this man. Ladies and gentlemen, he's one of a kind, Gardiner MacDougall.
David, you take the phone. The Leafs have been calling. All I can say is wow. I think we always, in our lives, look for wow moments, and this is certainly. When I had talked to President Paul yesterday and got a chance to talk to John and Jeff, and then the hardest of all, talked to Henny. And I said it'd be nice if we could speak to a few people that have made a difference for our hockey program and certainly my life. And I thought we'd get 15 or 20 people here. I knew the Section 11 would be here for sure. And I put Dave Morrell, I said, make sure you get the mayor here. We could tell a lot of stories about those two together. And that's before I even knew them. And I said, make sure you find a way to get the Iceman here. And even though it's his birthday, he's here. Give a shout out for Kevin Robinson back there. And tonight, to me, it's about gratitude. And obviously, it's a bittersweet because 24 years, it's just been amazing. I remember in July of 2000, my opening press conference was here in the Coulter Room. Mr. Bill Hunt, who was recently inducted into the Hall of Fame here in Fredericton. Give him a shout out as well. And I remember, he sent several articles to me in the next days. It was tremendous then because we had 4 sports reporters. We had 9 pages of sports in Fredericton, and the paper was every day but Sunday, And I remember his quote was, "This was my NHL." And for 24 years, it's certainly been my NHL. It's been the most amazing experience and amazing journey that anyone could hope or dream. So great to see you here, Bill, and congratulations again on that Wall of Fame. It's excellent. Gratitude night. We started in 2000, and we got our team together, and it's great to see some guys at the back there. I kind of got choked up when I seen some of our alumni, and we're a big part when we're getting this thing started. And we started 2-5-1. And I had a good friend back in Western Canada, Brad McEwen, who now works for Vegas in the National Hockey League, and he had called, and he said, how's everything out there? You're 2-5-1. How's your GM? Well, GM mean athletic director. And at that time was Clint Hamilton. And I said, yeah, it's amazing. He thinks we're going to be good. And needless to say, we went on, I think, an 8 or 9 game winning streak once we kind of got things figured out. And then we had the Christmas break. And in junior hockey in those days, you had 2 days off for Christmas, maybe 3. And when the team came back in junior, they were horrid. So I'm saying, we just got these guys going. We got an 8 or 9 game winning streak. And then they said, you got a month off now, coach. I said, well, how bad are they going to be when we get them back in January? But anyways, that's how we started. And then, as I said, the journey's been amazing. Tonight, I think it's all about family. I think when you look at, there's really 4 families that I think about that have made an impact on my life. My most immediate family, wife Lee, and I'll talk about them in a moment, and our 2 children. The UNB hockey family, that's the team that we get to coach every day. I said, keep the emotions in check. and our alumni. I think that's an associative family. And then the UNB family here, you know, the supporters, when it's so much more than what you see behind the bench. You know, there's people down, Linda and Lorna, all those years of financial services, the Debbie McLeans at the registrar's office, you know, every dean of every faculty I've met in my 24 years, and you know, going the extra mile to make sure a player can be admitted to UNB and be, you know, an active part of the faculty. And we had a lot in the kinesiology when we started, a few in arts, the odd one in business, and through 24 years, it's a big business faculty, and I can't say enough about the deans and the associate deans and the people in business. Engineering, to me, is just so much respect, and we've had several players, the most recent being Sam Richard, and you know, you go to me, the engineering is our top program and what they do, and when you go to the engineering, they're asking, how can we figure this out and make it work for your student athlete? And that attitude was throughout UNB. It wasn't, no, you can't do this. It was always, we'll find a way to get this done. And that's what made UNB special, and that's what made every year, after 5 years, you have different opportunities. After 10 years, you have more opportunities, and every year there'd be different opportunities, but it was never any better than the wow at UNB. The strength of the team is the team. This is the UNB team right here. You know, there's just so many people. I could start here when he used to come out Sunday mornings and help me with his kids, and that's, I think, 19 years ago. And now he's a prominent part of our UNB faculty, and I could just keep going. Kevin Barrett was the guy that told me the UNB position is open. And there was no email, there was certainly no texting or anything at that day. And I had met him the first time I came down and didn't get the job, but we kind of had a PEI alliance. And he phoned me in 2 years' time and said, the position's open. I phoned Clint Hamilton at that time and said, I understand your hockey position is open. He said, how'd you find that out? We haven't even posted it yet. And I didn't get it again. I went 0 for 2, but sometimes persistence pays off. And it was interesting, Kevin and I, for so many years, when I did the first press conference in St. John for the Memorial Cup, who's the guy quizzing? The general manager and the new coach, Kevin Barrett. So give a hand for him. He's been with me for 24 years. So I could just go down that lane. I could come back this lane and go that lane and this lane and all that type of stuff. But as President Paul said, if they said every accomplishment, we'd be here all night. And Nick forgot to bring the beer. So it'd be really tough. It'd be really tough to have a Tuesday night and go through everyone, and it's 4 a.m. and we're still here and I'm still talking about people. But it's certainly, as I said, the families, I can't say enough. My wife, Lee, for 24 years, has just been at the beckon, whether it's 8 hours at the rink, it's 10 hours at the rink, it's 14 hours at the rink, if it's 16 hours at the rink. She's just been no excuses. She's just made sure that supper's ready, everything's done. And when we moved here, you know, Taylor was in grade 4, Maddie was in grade 1, and she just found a way to get Taylor to his hockey practices out and wherever it was. And at that time, when we moved here, it was a great rivalry, St. Thomas and UNB. And she probably hated St. Thomas more than I did. Because she'd hear about it at the rink when Taylor would be playing with the different teams, and Mike Eagles' son was part of the team and all that type of stuff. So I can't say enough of just how loyal she's been, how supportive she's been, and I couldn't ask for a better person. As usual, right at the back, out of the limelight. I think the only time she wasn't out of the limelight when my son Taylor played for 5 years, and maybe the coach didn't play her son as much as should have happened. And we got through those 5 years like no others. So that's when I recruit hockey players, I said, I'm lucky. I'm a hockey coach. I've been doing it for 35 plus years as my livelihood. I've been a dad, and I learned more about being a dad of a hockey player, especially a major junior hockey player, and especially a university hockey player. And when I go recruiting, I worked 2 years on an Indian reserve in Norway House, Manitoba. And one of the real things I learned from there is they said never make a big decision before putting the moccasins of the other person on. So when I went recruiting, it really wasn't about Cade Landry, the player. It really wasn't about Cade Landry's dad. It was all about Cade Landry's mom. If I got the mom on side, she's going to have enough clout that she's going to tell dad that's where he's going, and the son, you just follow what mom says. Yeah, Taylor's first year in St. John, he had 3 different billets, and my wife would be livid and didn't probably quite understand all the hockey world. I'm phoning that GM. He's going to find the right... No, dear, we don't phone GMs. Well, he's in a new billet. He went back there January 1st. There's no food. There's no one home. I said, dear, it'll work out. Anyways, I can't say enough. She's just been a tremendous... a wife, but my best friend, and just such a confidant in everything we've done. It isn't always a straight road in the coaching world, and she's been there since day one. I can't say enough. Our 2 children were brought up in Fredericton. Maddie started in grade 1 here. Went through, got 3 degrees at UNB, and finally figured out what she wanted to be. It was going to be a psychologist, a speech, I don't know how to pronounce that other word, a nurse, and now she's finally a teacher. And the best news we've had set a lot of records here the last 3 months. It's been unbelievable, personal accomplishments, team accomplishments. My 2 proudest moments, so far were Maddie's new fiance. We had played the 3rd game at St. Mary's, and there's a lad, Beck's come in after the game and says, there's a Dan out there looking for you. And I knew my fiance's name was Dan. I didn't quite get the last name. And he said he's waiting out there. And I said, okay, yeah, we'll get a hold of it. We got to do the efficiency charts first. We got to do the rankings first. I met the poor guy stand out there for 25 minutes. I come out, oh, son of a, there he is. So I see, Dan, how you can, yeah, great. I'm glad you could come watch us. And he says, yeah. Last week I came up for the first 2 games of St. Mary's, and I wanted to ask you, but you're pretty focused on those 2 games. I came tonight. I'm in love with your daughter. I'd ask your permission if I could marry her. And the purest joy I've had for so long, it was in my heart that my daughter was going to marry an unbelievable person. And I said to him, well, what if we lost tonight? And he said, there's no way I'd ask you after a loss. So these guys, thank God they won that night. And then the second neatest moment is, obviously Taylor just lives across the highway here, and with his wife, Kelsey, and their daughter, Lily. And I was over, a couple of months ago over there, and I walk in the room, and Lily's got a sweater on, big sister. So Taylor and Kelsey are going to have their second child here in August. So family is always the most special, okay? And we have, with our team, it's FOE. It's always family over everything, and your family is the most important, your immediate family. After that, it's the UNB family, and we'll be here a long time. If I went through every player, my first year, we didn't have a goaltender. When I think it was July 9th, I took the job July 9th, and I woke up every morning until August 27th with rot gut because I didn't have a goalie. I have no idea what this league's about. I know it's good. I'm hoping we have a great team, but we don't have a goalie. And the first goalie after literally tens and tens and tens of calls was Gene Sherler from Sault Ste. Marie, and I remember, I think it was August 20th or August 24th, and then Gene finally commits to come to UNB if he didn't get a pro contract with the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Columbus Blue Jackets were run by Doug McLean. It was the first year of their franchise. His junior coach, Gary, was the American Hockey League coach, so I said, oh. And then he says, and you need to talk to my dad before I fully commit. Well, how about negotiate with no idea how negotiating goes with an Italian dad from Sault Ste. Marie? I just kept saying, yes, 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 we need a goalie, and thankfully I phoned Doug McLean. They had already 6 goalies signed, so I said, I think he's going to be having to come here. He's got no other choice. But Gene was their first. I said in Finland, when we won the World Championship there, they asked my reaction, and I said, listen, it's the standard for great coaches is the gag rule. And the gag rule was prevalent. Our goaltender was unbelievable the whole tournament, but especially in the second period, against the U.S. And, they said, what about that second period? I said, the second period, I was looking for a timeout. And finally, I had to call a timeout when U.S. scored. And I said, I was looking for the timeout. I said, I had one call. Where those contests, you only have one call to make. And I looked at my jacket. I didn't have my cell phone. So I said to the guys in the timeout, I said, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's just get through 40 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll get to the intermission. When the intermission, I get my cell phone. I got the one call. So we got through the intermission. We're down 3-1. We managed to score one, make it 3-2. I got to the intermission. I had one call to Canada. I called Lady Mo. And Lady Mo came through in the third period for us, unbelievable. And but get a great goaltender. We had the best coach and goalie coach in Canada to make a difference. Kyle McDonald, front row, give him a hand as well. So now, when I went through the goaltenders, we had Gene, Reg Bourchier came in after that, and then we brought Michael Uzuz in, and since then we've had all-star goaltending. We finished up this year with Griffin Outhouse and Sam Richard, and the first time in U Sport history, 2 goalies have won over 40 games and never lost one. And the toughest decision I had as a coach was after game number 2 at the Nationals. Everyone's wondering. The press are all wondering up there. We have a press conference after the game, and they're going after game 1, and they said, all right, coach, who's going to play game 2? I said, well, I won't find that out till the morning, but Hank will decide. And they said, Hank? Who's Hank? Well, I said, Hank's my golden retriever. He just had his birthday 2 days ago. He celebrated his 11th birthday. I've run for 11 years. Every day that I home, I run with Hank. So what Hank's got to do with it? I said, well, when I run, I said, we come in New Maryland, we come to a veer in the woods. We can go left or we go right. So when Hank comes, he decides whether we go left or right. If Hank goes left, we start Richard. If Hank goes right, Outhouse is in. So I've been doing it all year, and it's been working. And so they said, well, was Hank here? I said, no, Hank's not here, but Lee sends me the video every morning. There we go. So the goaltenders, like I said, that's the most important position. They've been outstanding for us, not only great people. Sam Richard, his first year here as a French-Canadian, had a 4.0 GPA in engineering as first time into an English environment. He's just phenomenal what he does. And we make sacrifices here. Last year, Sam was offered a contract in the Vancouver Canucks organization and was pretty close to taking it. I said, I got one chance to keep our number 1 goalie. I brought him down to the weight room. I showed him all the pictures. I showed him everybody that made it. You're going to play in the American Hockey League someday, but it can't be this year. I said, it's July, the middle of July, we can't find a number one goalie. At that time, I was still hoping that Griffin would get eligible academically. So anyways, I said, you cannot leave. If you leave, this is all done. So I went to his heart, and thankfully Sam stayed, and he's going to finish his degree. He's going to be an outstanding pro goalie, and he's a guy that is just one of the many, many players and people that we've had that made a difference. So our team, I can go through every one of these guys in the front row. I can look at my alumni in the back row. I can't believe, because I've said it many times since 2007 when we won the national championship, and I said the guy that scored the winning goal will be synonymous, historic in Fredericton for the rest of his life. He will never buy another beer in Fredericton and how he could come to this and know Nick Zildjian and not bring any beer. Give Robert Pierce a hand back there. And the guy in the front played 4 years at McGill. His brother, Steve, it's great to see him because he was here 3 years, a player, and then became a coach. I remember playing the national final. We're playing McGill in the national final. He played 4 years. He's 1 year with us. He bought in right away, and we had Hunter Tromley, who was the best player in the country. McGill put their 5 and 6D out there, which only he would know. He said, Coach, get Hunter on. 10 seconds later, Hunter scores. So he played and he coached that year. I remember one of the best lines we had in UNB hockey history. We had some injuries. So he'd say, Coach, we're going on the road. He says, what do you want to do? Am I playing or coaching? I said, wear your suit, but bring your hockey bag. So Stevie, I thank for everything you've done as well here. As I said, we've had the best players in the country, the best people in the country, and it just keeps getting better and better. You turn 55, a lot of people have early retirement. Unfortunately, my financial advisor, that thing called Freedom 55, it didn't work out. So you guys at 25 or 30, they say Freedom 55, check into it, baby. At 60, we're just getting started, I think, and then, as we move on, we just seem to keep getting better, and just the players, I just had such a joy of coaching these guys, trying to make a difference in their lives. President Paul, John's been here longer than I saw Marcy Nixon earlier, and I said, Marcy, I think you got me by 1 year. I had hoped maybe I'd make 25, and then, I don't know, you get some type of retirement at 25. I always, Dan McMorrin, who's not here, who dropped by later, we'd go to these retirement functions, and we see them into the rocking chair. I said, guarantee one thing. When I retire from UNB, I'm not getting a rocking chair, baby. I think George Jones has a song about the rocking chair. Anyways, but the players have just been phenomenal. I can't say enough. I could go through every player here. I could speak 5 minutes on everyone. They truly, our goal as a coaching staff is the UNB goal, to make a difference in their lives. I think our attitude is a servant mentality. It's what we can do for them to make their lives better. They're going to be people a lot longer than they're going to be hockey players. Right now, their dream is to be the best players in the country, and we've had players go on to tremendous post-hockey careers. Last year, I think we had 35 grads in pro hockey somewhere. Guys, the Phil Mailles have made the National Hockey League. I think we're at 95 players. It's always a big goal here at UNB I think Austin Keating was a 95th player to play in the American Hockey League, going back to, the Don McAdam ages and all that type of stuff. But they've been unbelievable people, and they do unbelievable in the real world. And I could tell stories all night. I think it's the proudest moments. I had Craig Mahan. I always said when Craig Mahan played here, I said, you're going to be a millionaire someday. And I said, why, Coach? I said, well, you're book smart. I don't think you've bought one since you've been here. But he was just brilliant. I said, you're people smart. And he knew everybody in the community. And you get a tremendous work ethic, and you're a leader. And I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago. I remember when he retired, he played 1 year pro. I went to Windsor to a game, and I remember at that time he said, Coach, I made significant, $250 last year. I said, get your alumni donation in, baby. And anyways, I remember him later on, 6 or 7 years ago, I had come to see my mom just before Christmas. I was coming through, and he had given me a call, and this was probably 6, 8 years since he's graduated. And I just want to let you know, Coach, I had a pretty good year here. I got into those 7 figures. And those are the stories that you get most proud. We love the championships, we love the rings and all that, but it's just to see that they're so vibrant members of society and that UNB has made a difference in their lives. And this year in Toronto, yeah, we've had, I can't say which team is better and all that. We've had so many great, but the whole UNB factor was the best ever. And it was in the old Maple Leaf Gardens, which is, the god place of hockey in Canada. I remember as I think 7 or 8 year old in Badek, PEI. It was probably the only trip we ever had as a family. We took the train from Borden, PEI. We made all the way to Ontario. My dad was an avid, passionate hockey player and fan. I think we were in Ontario for 12 days and we watched 16 hockey games in 12 days. But one of them was to Maple Leaf Gardens, and I still remember somehow my Rangers, who are my team, were playing the Maple Leafs, and I was just, and so to go back to there this year to win our championship, it was just so in the heart. You just say, this is special how things are lined up. But just the UNB contingent there, John had a lot to do with all the alumni passing out. I think they ran out after the first day. They had to order more, everything for UNB. But, we played the host team the second game. They did a cheer for TMU. Then the UNB was 3 times as loud right after that. So, it's interesting. Before we went to the tournament, I had told the team, I have been on some committees for U Sport, and we had, awards meeting and stuff like that. And the head lady of U Sport is on the call, and she says, well, you guys are coming to Toronto. It's about time you're going to get some competition this year. So I said, yeah, we'll see. We got a pretty good league here. We're doing okay. What was the score of the first game? 4-0 first game. What was the score of the second game? 7-0. Yeah, 7 plus 4 is 11. And they got how many? And then the final, the national final, how much? 4-0. So 11 plus 4? 15-0. I sent her a text when we got back on Tuesday. UNB 15. Rest of Canada 0. How about that competition? I guess I went through Matty. I forgot to go through Taylor. I'll just go through quick. I think he's still there. He's been a busy guy here the last couple of days, but just have the opportunity to have a son like Taylor and, being a hockey dad and learning so much. I learned so much when he went to Major Junior. We talked pretty well every day, and I'd go ask obviously about the coach and what practices and everything. And he said, the coach did this and the coach did that. And I go, the coach did that? And then I think, oh, yeah, I did the same thing. So I learned so much. And if you look at our record since 2007, I said, smart people learn from their mistakes. The smart man learns from his mistakes, and the wise man learns from the smart man. And from 2007, I think we learned a lot from Taylor being in Major Junior Hockey, and our record speaks for itself since then. And he's, just amazing what he came through, played 5 years in Major Junior, and then came to UNB, and, to be able to be a full-time player, a coach's son, which is the hardest role of any player's had in UNB hockey history. And then to get a business degree, academic All-Canadian a couple of years, and get a law degree while doing that. And then when he finished his law regular, I think he had 10 days before his law exams, negotiated his own contract with the Brampton Beast of the East Coast Hockey League. In the 10 days off that he's supposed to be studying, he went up and played 4 games in the East Coast Hockey League, and then came back to Fredericton, wrote his final exams, and got his law degree and his business degree. And he didn't stop there. I said he had the most, when he played Major Junior, he recruited the most players of anybody in our history, and we've had a lot of great recruiters. And I remember a good friend of mine who was a general manager of Kitchener Rangers at that time, and he said, well, all these schools, he's a first-line center in every school in Ontario. I said, listen, his heart's in UNB. He's recruited half my lineup. He'll figure out where he fits in, so, but just the difference he's made, and it hasn't stopped. He's got into the hockey world as an NHL player agent, and he's made such a difference. He's represented many of our players when they graduate. He's got tremendous contracts to make a difference in their lives. I think Austin Keating will get an unbelievable European contract here in the next couple of days, and he made a big difference in Austin's life, and he's got guys here and just his connections and stuff. So I can't say enough. I think like his mom. He's in the back there. But shout out to Taylor MacDougall as well. SRO at the Coulter Room, eh? Standing room only, baby. You didn't put a time limit on me. That was your mistake. Yeah, you do presentations, and they always say, you got 32 minutes. And I say, put the chart there, and I usually double it. But I certainly, if I'm getting long-winded here, but there's so many people to thank, and there's so many people to acknowledge, and we're just getting started here. But as I said, the team, I look back, I see the Werner brothers, my second year here, I recruited them. They played for Mike Kelly, who obviously the legendary UNB coach, our first national championship. And I remember I went up to North Bay, watched them play their last regular season game in North Bay. North Bay was defunct that year. It's great to see them back. I've been up a couple of times to watch games there recently. But I remember they were coming down here. There was only phones back then, no email, no text, and they give me a call from the Toronto airport. And I said, what are these guys calling about? Coach, we missed the flight. And in those days, there's a lot of red tape that you make. I said, boys, you're on your own. Figure it out, but I'll be waiting in the airport. Tell me which flight you're going to make. Anyways, those two guys, the 5 years I had with them, and I remember we brought them in 2 years ago as the fittest guys in our organization. Taylor's one of the top 5. There's a few other guys. Reg, I don't know if he's here tonight, but just the impact, and it always, those guys, when we won the national championship on home ice in 2011, and Irene was being passed around. I took Irene over to our bench, and all these guys that hadn't won a national championship but set the stage for us, I passed it on to those guys. And, the Craig Mahans that were really close, we won a silver, and they just, they set the foundation, the Werner boys, the Reg was, thankful his last year we won. He had to give up his starting role to Mike Uzuz, and, the first guy we passed the trophy to was Reg Borsey, and that just the respect they had. And I can say that with the group today. The one thing about being a UNB hockey player, it's all about the team. The ego's thrown out the door. There's lots of confidence in our group, but we're humble, and it's all about making a difference with the team. And I could go through our roster this year. There's 8D as the TMU coach made all his excuses in the press conference when we won. Well, they should win. They got 4 first lines. Every defenseman's a first liner in our league, and the 2 goalies, we don't have anyone close. Nothing about Rob Henniker and the coaches. It's just all about the players. But those guys, you can only play 6, and those guys everyone buys into what UNB is all about, and it just seems to the culture just seemed to get better each and every year, and just so proud. And, in our dressing room when we finished, you could make a movie of the things the guys do in the dressing room. And I think it started with Ben Schutron. I think Taylor MacDougall had it for a while. Randy Gazzola had it for a while. Kate Landry I said, we need, I don't know what you'd call it, but they recite all this stuff, and only the UNB hockey players know, or the people that come early to the rink and see them down there. They're in a legend by themselves, and they were unbelievable. And we brought the hips, and I'm going to finish with the hips when I'm done tonight. And to have all the alumni and all the guys that know what it feels like to win, and even the guys from the 60s that came in the 80s that came in. My heart was shining. It just met such an impact to see the impact of these guys, and it was totally UNB. If the marketing department for UNB there, we'd never lose a student. I tell you, it was just tremendous. So, to the players, for the people that are here, it's a tough part of my day at 1 o'clock today, or 12:15, I guess. We had a Zoom call with all the returning players. And it's not easy. They're just such quality people, and it's just everyone buying in, to our program. And then, recruits, we have a number of top-notch. It could be one of the best recruiting classes ever. And I said to Rob and the staff and the players, if we're fishing, we got them on the line. They're just about ready to come in the boat. I figured last week I'd be visiting parents and bringing kids in here to UNB, and just the way sometimes things go. But I'm it's just to finish that. I'm sure the players and Henny and Goody and those guys will do a great job, and you fans will see some unbelievable new players wearing the UNB hockey jersey along with the previous players who promised me they're just getting started, that they'll be better next year as well. Yeah, so there's two families. Give the players a hand. If every player just stand up so we know, I can see every player that's UNB hockey or alumni, just stand up so we see them all back there. Move out of the way, Jeff, so we can see you there. Be hard to miss you. Yeah, put their hands up. And any UNB hockey staff through the years, stand up as well. Yeah, UNB hockey staff, yeah. How about a hand for all of them back there? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and the most indiscreet guy back there has got the most gold of any of us. How many guys from UNB get to win the Stanley Cup? Not once, twice. And he's got the best beard in the country back there. I think he said, I'm not shaving the beard off until Tampa wins their next game next year. I'm not sure, but a guy that made a big difference in our program. Great to see him here. Ryan Hamilton, give him a hand as well. Coaching staff, we started Dax McLean, Mark Francis. Mark Francis left a big, long email. He was the first guy to reach out to me when I took the job. I was in Nepal, Manitoba, and finally got the job on the third attempt. And Dax and Mark made such a difference reaching out and, setting things up for when he came here. And we started with those guys, and we've gone through a lot of assistant coaches. I believe in having a quality staff, but the group we have now, we've been together 10 plus years. I made a mistake this morning with one of them, but Charlie joined us, and he's been such an integral part. And when you put two Islanders together, it's like six Mainlanders, so it's truly been unbelievable. And if you know the Cameron family, they're a historic, prominent hockey family in King Cora, and that's about 8 miles away from Badek. So just to have him the last while has just been tremendous. Brad Good, when he first came here, he reached out to me by phone originally and said he was coming to Fredericton. His girlfriend at that time had been accepted into UNB Law, and he was going to make a choice. I said, oh yeah, what's your choice? He says, well, I'm calling you today, and I'm thinking about the UNB education program and my role with your team. And then tomorrow I'm calling the St. Thomas education program and the role with their team. I said, son, you're only getting one call. Make it today. And he hasn't looked back, and what a difference he's made, not only with their team, but in the community and certainly with his school. He's a difference maker, and I can't say enough of what he's brought to our program. Penalty kill is a big part. I think sometimes the penalty kill is more important than the power play when you get to tournaments, the Stanley Cup playoffs, anything like that. What was their penalty kill at Nationals? 100%. Brad Good, give him a hand right there. I said, I talked briefly about Kyle, and since he's been here, I can't say enough the sacrifices he's made and the difference he's made. Your goaltender makes all the difference. You get the best defensemen, best forwards in the world, but your goalie has to stop the puck. And what he's done with the only team to have, we had a full-time hours-wise, certainly not what we could pay him or anything like that, but he just said, I'm all part of it, and what he's done here is amazing. And then the last 2 years, it was an assistant coach, and then this year to be the head coach of the women's program, and it's not easy to three-peat, especially with a team that's just getting started. And I was so proud of his accomplishments this year. The first thing we did, we got on the bus, we always checked how did the women do and how did Kyle do. And to see them in the playoffs here and see the crowd they had when they won it all, just another thing makes your heart sing. And so Kyle, for everything you've done for our program, thank you very much. I thought I seen the goalie parent there. Yeah, you double clap on our goalie parents there. Where did I see? Oh yeah, look at that guy. He started 5'2" in our camps. Now he's 6'4" in our camps. Certainly last but certainly not least, what could I do without Rob Henniker? 4 years as a player. And interesting, when we recruited him, we had lost the national final in 2004 to St. FX in double overtime. The next day, Danny Flynn, who was a very good friend of mine, phoned the Henniker residents in Ontario, and Gardiner MacDougall phoned the Henniker residents. And we both were highly competitive to get Rob Henniker to come to UNB. And I looked at all the depth charts across all the players, Western Hockey League, Quebec Hockey League, Ontario Hockey League. We were going to lose 3 centermen, including our first line center. I said, man, we got to find some way. This guy doesn't understand how important this guy is to our team. And when you look at it, to this whole program. And fortunate enough, Danny and I both went up to see him. And they've got everyone back. They're only losing 1 guy. We got 3 spots, and you're going right into 1A. And thankfully, we had him down a recruiting trip, and thankfully I had Craig Mahan to twist his arm to come here, and he made a big impact. And finally, after 4 weeks of phoning him and not always getting the answers, we stayed with it. And he came to UNB, and our MVP for 4 years. As a player, I'm on the top ever in our history. Thank God, somehow he met a McTavish, his 4th year here, and married a gal from Freddie, and he had a great pro career. But he was our position came open, and I remember John and I were going through the applicants, and he decided to put his application in, and we have to do respect for everyone that applied, but I said to John, there's one candidate, he has no experience, but if we can twist McTavish's arm and he can stay here, we're going to have a great coach. I was wrong. He wasn't a great coach. He's the greatest associate coach in U Sport hockey history. He's been just phenomenal. I thought it was 10 years because I go off goody, but he said 12 years. So I've had a person in my life for 16 years that has made a total difference every time I see him, every time he interacts at our hockey camps, every time he interacts in the community. He certainly has his own distinctive style. We all know Henny early in the morning is a different Henny than later in the day. And Henny early discussing practice is a way different when the practice starts. But he's just amazing. I'm always, every day we come in, he's got a new video, he's got a new thing we can try with the team. Let's do this. And he's just so amazing what he's done. So give him a big hand, Rob Henniker. It's interesting, when I took the St. John job and I had to add a consultant, I said, Dr. Albert, I need him a little bit. But he made such a difference in St. John in his brief time there. And of course, getting these Hockey Canada, whether it's University Cup in Lake Placid last year, the different times, and even this year, we played our games a 6-hour time difference from Finland, but after we were going pretty good, I said, I don't need any help yet. But after we played Sweden, which we kind of hung on and got the win. It's 1 goal better, that's all you need. But I had texted him, okay, what do you think of our team? And, the 3 things that he said, this is what you need to do better, were the 3 things that we got better in that last game. So I just can't say enough. I'd be grateful for the rest of my life of the impact he's had on myself, but certainly our program, but all of us here, because remember, the strength of the team is the team. And this is the team right here, every one of you. Whether it's Robbie trying to give us a better deal down at McTavish's down there, whether it's AP, I need this fitness done and we got to get them on the stairs there or whatever it is. Everybody here has had an impact, and I could go through everyone. The staff have been unbelievable. I look at he was in mourning for 2 weeks. Unfortunately, I was in Finland, so I couldn't help him. His beloved Leafs went down again. But this guy does so much, and he would have loved Finland because Ron Clark has the best sauna in the Fredericton area in his backyard. And he's taken many of our guys out during the season for sauna and supper. Finland has the most saunas of any country in the world. So when I got over there, if I said I could have took Ronnie Clark over, he would. I asked one guy in the sauna one day, how often do you come here? The guy says, well, the president of the country was just in here an hour ago when we shut it down for the president, and this is my second one today. So if we brought Ronnie with the saunas, AP with the cold plunge, we did a cold plunge in the Baltic Sea, and then we went into a sauna. So I could have had the all-star AP with his cold plunges, and Ronnie with the saunas, we would have been set, But our staff, the medical staff we had, great to see Maddie here and Tyson here. I think Ryan's here. I tell our guys, unless you make the NHL, the American League is brutal. They only have one guy. So unless you make the NHL, what we have here is the best in North America, not just Canada. What they do, and give them a hand. And what's so great, we had Joe Glenn, the legend, and again, what a moment this year when, to put his name and honor it this year was just, it was just one of those, just joy in your heart. But, Joe mentored a lot of these guys, and our biggest worry when Joe passed away, they all came because of Joe. And I said, Joe's not here, but they stayed true to UNB, and a lot of the time they come as volunteer and just go the extra mile. Tyson has kept this program since COVID. Joe got in some with his prostate cancer, not always, and this guy would come, do an hour or two here, and then back to his regular job at the hospital, and then later on probably go to Max Health and do something there. He's a Miramichi magician, I guess they call him there. But I can't say enough, and it's so rewarding as a coaching staff that that you have a separator when you go to these national championships, because they're going to do the absolute best to get our guys healthy. Cade in Charlottetown 2 years ago, just to make appearance for 4 or 5 shifts in the last game meant the world to him. And our guys, there's no other staff would ever be able to do that. So I can't say enough for what they bring to us. Bex this year was our first full-time equipment manager. I mean, Joe had to do both duties along the way, but what a difference he makes. And people don't understand, like 2 years ago, he had a full-time opportunity with a prominent team in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League with substantial more money than we could pay him, and he stayed because of UNB and got the experience and stuff like that. There's so many of our guys that just sacrifice personal attributes to come back for the good of our country, and I just can't say enough. And it every year I think, that's the best we can do, and then something happens even more. Nico Savoy came back at Christmas this year. He had a $105,000 contract in the Buffalo organization. He was in the East Coast in Jacksonville, Florida. He was golfing every day. Think about this. You're 21 years old. You're making more money than you ever dreamed you'd make. You're golfing every day, and you get to play hockey 2 hours a day. And his dad told me, he said, listen, if he's not in the American League at Christmas, he'll come back to UNB. I didn't make the call. His dad made the call, and he was back here. So there's so many sacrifices guys make to be performers for you guys, the fans. And they love performing. It's like I say, that we got the best fans, the best people in the country. And this year was our best ever attendance since I've been here. I haven't got the stats from John yet, but I'm certainly he'll have them for Henny. And they're just amazing. We just continue to keep better. We think, wow, we had 6 sellouts, and we averaged 2,800. This year, I think 7 of our last 8 games. Who sells out the last game when they're 29-0? And it's just a game that you have to play. And what team wins that game, 10-0 or 8-0? Yeah, what team wins 8-0, and what team sells her out? And that's why UNB is so special. Yeah, it's just amazing what things have been done. Along the way, when I first moved here, one of the first people I met, we had lost both games at home. I said we're 2-5-1. We lost 2 games at home. We're down 5-0 after 2 periods to Dalhousie. I know the river's close. I'm thinking, is there a shut where I can just get a trap door and slide into that river and just get out of the rink? Because they are going to give me heck here. I'm just new here. We're not doing that well. UNB has a good team. So I remember a guy by the name of Roger Shannon came up to me and said, Coach, we got a little skills program out in Stanley tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I said, Stanley? I have no idea where Stanley is. All I know is they sell, some type of equipment for carpenters. No, Stanley, yeah, you bring your boy out. We'll have a great time. And, one of the best things I ever did here, because you know how 2 losses, you just got gut rot. You don't want to see anybody. You're going to be so mad at the team come Monday. And I went with Raj, who went out to Stanley, and he said, about 15 minutes, he said, yeah, you take over. You can start running the drills. And it was such a need. And then when we finished, went to the restaurant, had a great meal. And I met through that, one of my best friends ever here, and one of the best people that made a difference with our hockey program. And, for 15 years, Raj was, I think he was a GM and Brian was the president. I think that's how it worked. Brian Johnson, who became an unbelievable friend as well. These 2 guys for 15 years, 0 money, volunteered. At one time, we ran, I think, 9 or 10 hockey camps all summer. We had the REDS prospects, which we formed. We ran these advanced camps. We had some of the best players in North America. We built up the advanced camp, and Roger was a big part of the recruiting. His 92 group with his son, Zach, and I don't know, I could say the figures. I think there was 16 or 18 NHL draft picks off that team, 8 or 9 first-round draft picks, and I was always amazed just how incredible, energized he was to make a difference at UNB, and the extra monies that helped our program just to do the things, if we needed extra, whatever it was, and it was just going back to the Fredericton spirit. There's no city in the country that if you need a fundraiser for somebody, Richard Clark and his group will form a group. The Hall of Fame that Bill was just inducted in is so special, and there's a group of 6, 8, 10, 12 people behind the scenes that just make such a difference in those community. And Roger and Brian were 2 of those people that really helped elevate our program, but made a difference with kids. Kids started to come into our camps. They loved our players working the camps. Their parents loved us, and then attendance comes, and it just worked like that. And so I can't thank him enough, and it's great to see him today. I know he's a busy guy, with his junior A team there. He's the proudest granddad in Fredericton. Just look on Twitter or whatever else in the social media. You'll see it all the time. But shout out Roger Shannon right there. For the people that have been in the office, I don't know, did Vicky make it? Yeah, Vicky came. I remember Clint hiring her, and at that time she worked with Terry Shannon, and her ran the canteen. And Terry Shannon's another guy. Bonnie here. Yeah, tremendous. Oh yeah, that's my section right there. The ladies that make the meals for us when I can't find the cook. But in those days, we met. Terry was such an avid fan. How many fans? This is New Year's, before we started running the Pete Kelly at home. We were up in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and I had, second year in a row, we play 4 games in 4 nights, 1 practice, 4 games, 4 nights. I promise you guys, we'll be back home for New Year's, fellas, no problem. And we land at Moncton Airport at 10:58, Henny, I don't know, 11. We've got to make a quick trip to Fredericton to get the boys back for New Year's Eve. And then there's a guy there meeting us. We got Craig Mahan, our captain, stole the trophy from Thunder Bay. He goes around the conveyor belt with the trophy. We won this trophy. UNB hockey, we won this trophy. There's 300 Moncton people there all waiting their people, and there's UNB hockey. And then there's Terry Shannon and his wife Bonnie drove all the way to Moncton on New Year's Eve to welcome the UNB varsity Reds at that time back from their championship. And I can probably go through every one of you here and say some moment that you've done something special for our program. And that was the amazing thing about this journey here, and all the countless memories. Since Bill Hunt retired, I've been asking him and telling, listen, you should write a book, Bill, about UNB hockey. And someday, once he finds some time, we'll get a book out in UNB hockey and be the best author in the country, and it'll be a bestseller, at least in New Brunswick. But, the AUC staff, 24 years. David's been there the last number of years. I think back to the first people that are here, and I remember the first people. It was a little different in those days. I think Gordy was in charge, and I remember asking a couple of players, I think we used to practice at 3 o'clock or 3:30 then. A couple of guys wanted to go on early. I said, yeah, go on early. I get a phone call. What are you doing on the ice early? I said, what do you mean? We're the team. We're just going on early. So we got through all that, but I'm not always the easiest guy to work with a rink. We're always, I don't know if Dave Bailey and the crew or Martin, are those guys here? Any of those guys here? Yeah, tremendous. Those guys are just selfless behind the scenes. I always say at the big games, boys, get the tuxedos on. Look like $1 million when you go out there. And they always say, well, Dave won't buy them for us. Anyways, those guys make such a difference with the ice and just behind the scenes, everything they do. Our room is always spotless. They clean it every night and all that type of stuff. So you can't play the game without those guys behind the scenes. So AUC, give them a hand, the AUC staff. Anybody here a UNB donor for scholarships or made a contribution? Put your hand up. Oh yeah, put them right up. Don't be halfway. Roger, get that hand up there. Yeah, your donation with all your hours would be, I figured out one time, I think he probably 600 or 700,000. I said, Raji, we could have used that money when we retire, eh? And I can't say enough. Richard Clark, I said before, my first year he made a contribution, and every year he has not missed that contribution. The only thing I said, in 2000, that contribution is worth something. There's a thing called inflation. Next year, just try to use that inflation in your contribution to help us out a little. Anyways, Sonny Phillips, it's great to see him back there as well. And he's a guy that made many contributions to our program. And, if we could have made a hockey player already, you'd been a high performer in 3 sports, not just volleyball and softball. Shout out Sonny Phillips as well back there. Just so many people. I had mentioned some of the people down at student recruitment, what they do for us. Trying to get people in here. Our registrar's office, we've gone through several. It wasn't always easy. At one time, to get Ontario players in here was 5 grade 13 courses. You wouldn't have had a hope. And we'd always try to, do the best we could with all those rules and stuff like that. But the registrar's office, I remember Debbie McLean for so many years, and she was so key because she was bilingual. So any of our players from Quebec, she could speak in French to them. I think that's a comforting for those people, So all those people, I could go through, I go down through maintenance department, the different things. My first 2 weeks on the job, I come in, it was, at that time, the American Hockey League had used it. Tom had just moved with the team, I think at Christmas into it, and I'm looking for a player's lounge. So I remember, I think at that time there's walls and everything around, and I go, Tyson Flynn was a player, his dad was a carpenter. I said, do you think your dad could come in on a weekend and just tear that apart and make this into a player's lounge? Yeah, I think he could. So needless to say, we got it done. The Wednesday of that week, I said, he always asked for forgiveness rather than permission. Yeah, Clint Helm, you can't do that. I said, I know I can't do that. I didn't know, sorry. Anyways, we got the team room, and it's been there ever since, and it's a big part, of our, hockey dress room and all that. It's been amazing. But, I could go through the CEL people. Our guys take a lot of different courses. They're always so receptive, and I think it's a UNB mentality. Let's figure out how we can make this work. A lot of places you go, no, sorry, it can't work. Here, it's always, let's see, we'll find a way to make it work. And there's always solutions. And, they're university student athletes. It's not always a straight road in school or as players and that type of thing. So it's always, I'm just so grateful for so many people that have embodied the UNB motto of making a significant difference. And I always say, let's put the positive, because there's lots of people make a negative significant difference. And I say, we make a positive significant difference here, So to the Cheyennes, the Jillians, I know I'm the only guy in the world, my expense reports. David, that's the one thing you didn't know about They'd be the worst expense review. Yeah. Thank God for Jillian there. I don't know what I'd do without her. Anyways, the receipts are there. I'm one step up on Kyle because I walked by in March of this year, just before the season either was about ending or going to end. I just kind of glanced into the women's room there, Sarah. And there's Kyle at one desk. There's Jillian at the other desk. One desk is full of receipts. The other desk has double the receipts. And knowing Kyle, I said, I bet you that's right from September 1st. But anyways, it's amazing, these people. I was hired by Clint Hamilton. He made a difference in my life. Took him through, well, I guess he only rejected me twice. But it made such a difference. The first time I came here to UNB, I didn't get the job. I remember having such a fantastic experience. The dean took me to all these places. I went back to Lee in Nepal, Manitoba. I said, and I kind of knew I wasn't getting a job on Inside Hockey Info. I said, if I didn't know I wasn't getting a job, I'd be thinking I'd get the job. They took me that this is where you could live. This is your contract. And they said they're going to send me the budget. So at that time, it was the old, what was it called? Those copy or whatever, you got a thing sent to you. And so, yeah, fax. Yeah, fax machine. Yeah. Yeah, it's a long way. Fax and DAX. There we go. We got the fax machine, so the budget comes. And I'm working for a native-owned team, OCN Blizzard, which we got to start up and do all that. And we have a pretty neat budget. We're in Nepal, Manitoba. We need some wow factor. And so I get the fax, and it goes, budget, $39,000. And I remember Mike Kelly saying, if you take the job, you got to get a good team first. Then you got a lot of work to do on the budget. So I'm thinking $39,000. So I said to Lee, I said, I think they made a mistake. First of all, there's a zero missing. And that's even a way too low. Nonetheless, that was the budget. But thankfully, to resourcefulness, a lot of great sponsors, tremendous alumni and support, we built that up. The support we get from UNB is the best in the country. There's no one even close, and we're always pushing to get more. But the program doesn't operate if you get people like the president. Always starts from the top. Tony Secco was a godsend when he was associate director. I can't say enough. Aside from not taking that St. FX ring off, and I do have one of those St. FX rings. My first day here, I had the X ring on for 14 years. I came up here. I'm going to meet Clint Hamilton. I took the X ring off. I put it in my back pocket. I have no idea where it is. All I know is if my wife has found it, I'll never find it again. She would have thrown that thing wherever. But nonetheless, Clint was a tremendous, amazing what he did with the program. It wasn't always a straight road. We had lots of disagreements, but we always managed to find the right thing. And we're just getting started when he left. When Kevin Dickey come in, I was pretty fortunate. I'd coached against him in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And, he was kind of off the beaten track, hockey coach coming for an AD position, but he made such a difference in our program. He was a hockey guy. Obviously, he tried to keep everybody happy, but I could always count on him to watch our team and tell me maybe things that weren't right and we needed to hear. So he made a tremendous, what he did to the program. And then since John's been here, I said, I always need a guy that's not like me, and I'm not great with budgets. That's another thing you forgot. Budgets, and he's immaculate with budgets, like scheduling and budgets, like he's the best in the world probably, like he can put a schedule together, he can put a budget together. It wasn't always a straight road. I'm always coming up and saying, can you get a little extra here or a little extra here? But I certainly appreciate everything he's done. And then now Jeff just joined us this year, and it was terrific to have a coach. I talked about the story of, put yourself in another person's moccasins. And the other thing I say, be where your feet are. Jeff was a coach for many, many years in our program. So I think he has that neat thing about from a coach's side, and now he's from the administration side, which John was a coach as well. So we have two tremendous people that can make a difference. And, I know this year he was forced into duty. and he did a terrific job with the volleyball team. That's not easy to pinch hit and get in there. But now that Jeff has a good first year, he'll have all that time now to raise more money. So the next hockey coach won't have to worry about coming to the office and asking for to extend the budget. So shout out Jeff Speedy, John Richard right there. Yeah, deans and professors, when we first came here, we used to have a monthly meeting. Sometimes they're agonizing, but with the faculty and the coaches, but we had a really good family approach. There's some of the professors. I look at David Scott. He just called me the other day. I was coming back from Finland. He was going over to Prague. That type of stuff. And I would say 95% of UNB hockey players have taken David Scott's courses, so, but so many professors have made, the deans have been, Wayne is our most Charlene pinch hit, and I thought did an amazing job. Wayne's been there for many, many years. We had terrific deans before, and it's just that connection. And the neat thing about this, there's 8 teams at the national championship. There's only one university president there, and that was our guy here. And that's just keeping a tradition. Yeah, Paul. Yeah. What do they say in the NHL, Raj? You have the East Coast, the East game, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, there you go. The Leafs, they couldn't wait. They couldn't wait. Oh, yeah. Craig Mahan heard he was being told about. I think there's a thing there that says, call me back later. I've used it about...
Yeah, he's put him on speakerphone. Yeah, put him on speaker.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Hunter?
Hey, Coach, what's up, man?
I just got a few friends over for the night.
Congrats, congrats, UAT, that's good for you guys.
You only got 10 seconds.
And congrats number 2. Is that another one too, or is that a rumor?
Just a rumor. It's all about UNB tonight. Hey, we'll be back to you. A few people want to say hello. The first time you got 375 people give you a standing O. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for calling. Anyways, I see Marcy Nixon, and she's got 1 year on me, and she's extending now. But she's the lady behind all the scholarships and getting things right. And when I'm not happy with things, I just go down and bellow out to her for 20 or 30 minutes, and then it's done. So I can't thank enough. And she's a St. FX grad as well, but she put her ring away as well. So anyways, shout out Marcy Nixon. And of course, where would Marcy be without Maureen? And just 2 doors down. And, in the early years, we had to do multiple roles. I mean, I was the head coach. I did the power play. I did the penalty kill. I did the video and the power play. And, some guys were in every meeting. No wonder they'd be sick of me by the end of the year. But when Maureen was here, it was PR, it was logistics, it was operations, it was everything. And, we hosted our first national championship in 03, 04. Sonny was a big part of it. Raj was a big part of it, Brian Johnson. And all these high-intensity males. And then there's poor Maureen taking the notes and trying to make, at that time we had to do a proposal to U-Sport at that time. And I remember the first time we put the bid in, Maureen was always the best in the country at putting the bids in. I remember I'm in my office, it's July, Clint Hamilton came into my office, and I'm trying to find recruits, whatever it may be. He says, yeah, we put the bid in. We had an unbelievable bid. But Alberta, just the tradition of the Alberta Golden Bears, and they're hosting it, and they had a bigger rink than us, and their team's better right now than us, and I'm going in. And we just kicked their ass. We got the national tournament. So he caught me, and Maureen was a part of 6 of those championships. The one, I think it was 10, 11. We had to fly to Ottawa. We got Bobby Hathaway's plane. We got 8 of us on the plane, 7 high energized males, poor Maureen. We get there, all these stringent rules. We ask the mayor, because there's no bigger UNB fan, plus he is the mayor, longest serving in the country at that time. And we get up there, and everything's protocol. Maureen, this is the protocol. Only Kevin's speaking, no one else speaks. And we're not 7 minutes into the meeting, and the mayor stands up. Hey, you got a moment. I'm just going to tell you about this team. And I'm going, oh my God. Yeah, so there's no truer ambassador for UNB and for the city of Fredericton. Shout out for the mayor as well. There we go. So going back, there's, I don't know what time, we don't home Saturday night. There's the 8 o'clock Eastern game, right? The Toronto Maple Leafs or the Montreal Canadiens. Sometimes the Ottawa Senators will play that. Then after that game's done, they get ready for the West Coast. So in between that game starting and the game, there's called the after hours. So if anyone here I forgot, we have the after hours tonight, and I can talk about everyone here, okay? That type of thing, because I know I see a few people going up, and I said they're coming for 30 minutes, and we're at 33 minutes now. So anyways, we'll keep moving on. Lois, great to see you. The longest serving UNB scholarship, Lois Walker, great to see you. Give her a hand as well. Yeah. I'm going to forget some people, but in my heart, all of you people. And, when we kind of made the decision, things happened very quickly here with the retirement. It's going to be maybe the shortest retirement in UNB hockey history, but it's retirement for tonight. It's gratitude tonight here to thank you people. I'll certainly be around. I'd like to see everybody. When yesterday I went a tough call to the president, as I mentioned, to John and to Jeff and to Charlene and then to Henny, and then I call Andy Campbell shortly. I don't know, 6 or 4:30. Andy, I wouldn't mind putting something together. So he put this together, immaculate. It's great to see, and shout out Andy Campbell. Thank you very much as well. Hey, if you could only get your Blue Jays as efficient as you are, baby, we'd be able to watch more baseball this summer. But nonetheless, in closing, thank you very much for all of you for coming. It's been the most special 24 years of my life, and I'll be the most avid UNB fan going forth, and I just look forward to more excitement from not only our hockey program, but the University of New Brunswick in general. And for some of you, you've been down in the room at the end. For some of you, you hear all the stories, and at the end of the night, we have Gritty. We present the Gritty Award. Someone that's gone above the scene and underrated and that. And if we had a Gritty Award tonight, I present it to my wife Lee, and she'd have to put it on. So give her a hand. And then one quick story. Too many stories, but. We did have the dedication box is a thing we do for playoffs. Every player brings a tangible item from someone that means significant in their life that they're going to play for. And it's a very emotional. Sometimes players come. It could be a grandfather that passed away and gave them their watch, and they placed the watch in there. We did the dedication for Team Canada, and there was one lad on our team. He lost his billet mom in the fall, and he lost his real mom in February. And he was one of the most amazing players I had the privilege to coach. And when he went up to that dedication box to talk about grit and the tears, and he fought his way through, and he played for his mom and played spectacularly for us. And, different people. It was, the head guy of Hockey Canada said it was the most emotional team-building activity he ever seen. And we were, even though we're only together for, at the end, 24 days, we're certainly the most tightest group. And interesting, we had a young guy from Finland, 25 years old. He was our host. And I said, in Finland, the high performer, the sword is a big part of their military history. So Misu's his name. I said, Misu, can you find a sword? He goes, a sword? Yeah, I said, you got an army surplus here or something like that in Finland? A sword. So the next day he comes in, he says, Coach, I found a sword. I said, really? That quick? Yes, my brother's going to get it. I said, well, what's the story in the sword? Well, it's my grandfather's sword, and it's at our cottage. I said, oh yeah, where's your cottage? 400 kilometers away. My brother's going to get it. He's going to drive 8 hours to get the sword for the Team Canada. We've known this guy for 5 days. So he brought the sword, and he said, I'll tell you the story of the sword. He said, the sword is my grandfather's sword. My grandfather fought in World War I for independence to protect Finland from Russia. He fought in the war. He lost his arm. This is the sword he passed on to the family. So we had him put the sword, it wouldn't fit in the dedication box, but on top of it. And so every high performer of each game, Michu presented the sword, and the guy brought the sword out and had a picture with the sword. And Gavin McKenna, remember that name? He was the winner of the high performer the first night, and we had a great picture of Michu and the sword. And then the dedication box we used there was from the family as well, and it was his grandmother's box. And I said, and he said, you want me to tell you the story about the box? I said, yeah, I'd like to hear the story of the box. So it was his grandmother's box. During World War II, his grandmother was in Russia, and she escaped Russia for Finland. And the box was all her belongings that she brought with them. You know, so it was unbelievable, the impact of, you know, the sword in the box for our team. And it's all those little things that make a big difference in the end. And, you know, certainly we've had some tremendous memories. Section 11, put your hands up. Got to acknowledge all you people. Isn't it Section 11? What, 14? 5. I thought it was always 11. 5, yeah, behind the bench. And for all you fans out there, and you know, Sharon, Red Birthday program, we've had it going for 24 years. And how many years have you been in charge? 18 years. Finding families to not billet our players, but just to meet our players, take them over for supper. The lady she took over from, Jesse Ferguson, was theirs. And when Jesse got married in Halifax, the Red Brigade was his master of ceremonies at the wedding. And Sharon's done an unbelievable job. We have a couple of you know, big suppers up here, and she brings so much stuff to the suppers, and you know, all volunteer, all for UNB hockey. And then if that isn't enough, I think Marcy was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, her and her husband had retired, and they said, we want to start a scholarship for the UNB hockey program. So shout out Sharon as well. Excellent, excellent. Yeah. I could tell stories all night, but thank you. I'll be around. You keep coming to the games there. I met her about 5 years ago. I was just walking over, got some things printed off, programs or whatever. It's 4:30, and I say, what are you doing here so early? She says, I'm here early. When the doors open, I want to make sure I have my seat. So another shout out right here, our #1 fan. Terrific. So finish. Unbelievable. Thank you for all the tremendous memories. They always say, we talk about our team every year, it's all about the memories and the friendships. And I've had abundance of both at UNB, the memories to last a lifetime. Look, I've one guy got to shout out, Willie Healy right there, tallest guy in the row. The CEO, Director of Operations behind us. Mr. President, we can't lose him. Yeah, find a new scholarship for the MBA Sports Admin program. Hey, we beat the U.S. 5-4 in the finals. It's either U.S. or us. We got to win 2 in a row, baby. Hey, the best we've had, Will Healy, give him a hand as well. Excellent. So you're in the national final. The clock clicks down. Everyone comes on the ice. Helmets and everything's all over the ice. We spend 45 minutes on the ice hugging one another and getting pictures. And then we bring that special lady. I'm surprised she isn't here tonight. Where is Lady Irene? But we bring Lady Irene into the dressing room, and the guys all gather around, and they all lock arms all around. And our alumni this year, our president, once he was hooked. He said, I can't miss a game. He was front and center. And then we have the UNB 3 cheer. So we're going to do one final. Everyone stand up. And you got to be able to bend your knees, and you got to full out. You're going to bend your knees, and it's full out. I think the media have probably left, so Cheyenne, make sure you get it on your camera. Dave Kilfoy and Eric, I missed you back there. Thank you for your contributions. There's no on the stats and the website. Holy smokes, the only people in the country. And commentary for Dave Kilfoyle. Don't be leaking any rumors on your fan pass tonight here. It's all UNB. But when we win the game, the coach comes in and he will say, how about those UNB Reds? 3 cheers for that Hummer. Hip, hip. Hooray! Oh, baby, let's try that again. Oh, yeah, we got to go. That was like 4 out of 10. It's the last night. Let's go 11 out of 10. Are you ready? Hey, I'm going to say again. How about those UNB Reds? Hooray! 3 cheers for that Hummer. Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray! Thank you very much.
So, how do you follow that? Yeah, that's pretty much it. One thing I can tell you, every game day in the morning, in the winter before the sun comes up, I send Gardiner a text message. And all it says is, it's game day. And doesn't matter if it's 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 or 7, within 30 seconds, I get a text back from him. And that's every game day, home or away. And his favorite reply is, when I say it's game day, his favorite reply is, the best day ever. Now, when he went to Finland, there was a 6-hour time difference. So I had to stay up till midnight to get him his "it's game day" text at 6 o'clock in the morning when he's starting out on his run on some side street in Finland. And God bless him, he answered, and I went to bed, and he went to do his run. And so, Coach, I thanks for all those text messages all the time. We thank Gardiner's wife. We thank his son, we thank his daughter for giving us the time with her husband and their father for 24 years. Thank you so much, all of you. There are thousands of local kids who Gardiner has nurtured over the last 24 years in his hockey schools. They will be grateful forever for their time with Gardiner. And your accomplishments are documented in history. Someday you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt in my mind. And when you measure your own personal success, you only need to ask yourself one question. Am I leaving it better than I found it? And with Gardiner MacDougall, it's a resounding yes. Thank you. Well done, buddy.
P.S. The after hours quickly. I said I kept waiting when I did my Hall of Fame talk, and he said, I need to introduce you. And I did the Hall of Fame, and I said, I'll talk to Dave Morrell last. And when I finished the Hall of Fame, there's 2 people that I forgot to mention that were prominent in my life. One was Brian Smith, a photographer extraordinaire, and Dave. And tonight, the same thing. I said, when I'm done, the last thing is Dave Morrell. So at the Hall of Fame, I didn't have a choice to get back up. But here, for a guy that's made a difference, like I said, I met him in the early 2000s, and just the stories. If you need something done in Fredericton, you just phone Dave or the mayor, and even now. And but he's just been such a mentor. My dad passed away 34 years ago, and this guy has been tremendous respect for me as a person. I can always give him a call, and I can vent, or I can, celebrate or whatever. And he just made us such a difference. And he's the grittiest guy we have in the city, what he's gone through. And he's straight ahead all the time. And, the first thing when I said to Andy, I would like Dave Morrell he was part of the first, when I came here, and thankfully he's part of this now. So full shout out, Mr. Dave Morrell. Thank you.